Well, hello and welcome to Community Group Week. I just tell you, you should not live life alone. Life is better with other people. You need people who know what's going on in your life. You need people who celebrate with you. You need people that you are growing with. And I am just so glad that you have taken time today, this morning, this afternoon, whenever it is that you happen to be watching, and whoever it is that you are watching this with, that you understand that you need other people in your life. I would love for you to start this time like we start all of our community groups by just spending some time with the people that you are with today and getting to know them on just a deeper level and share these questions. Number one, uh, what is it that has gone well? What is it that you are thankful for? What are you grateful for right now? And then what's been a challenge? Maybe the new year hasn't been all that you hoped that it would be. What's been some challenges? What's been stressing you out? Be honest and share that. If you watched last time, we talked about the idea of being generous. And so, how's that gone over the last 2 weeks? Have you had chances to be generous? And when you were generous, what was your motivation for doing it? Was your motivation that other people would see you and that you would get a credit and awards, or were you being generous because you just believed that it was the right thing to do and because you just feel like you're becoming a more generous person? So take some time and talk about that with your group. All right, so today we are continuing going through the Sermon on the Mount, and we are in Matthew 6, 5 through 8. And I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about the idea of prayer. And prayer is one of those things that I feel like all of us think that we ought to do it. A lot of us maybe feel a little bit of guilt that we feel like that we should do it more. And especially what we want to talk about today is what is our motivation for when we pray? Well, what is our motivation for why we want to pray? Because begin with a little bit of confession. There's been times in my life where I have done prayer and where I have done other spiritual exercises, and it really wasn't for the right reason. There was a part of me where I did it for some sort of credit, where I did it to be thought well of by other people. One dumb story. I went to Bible college. That's what you do when you're becoming a pastor, is you go to Bible college. And Bible college is a weird place because it's a lot of folks who obviously love Jesus a lot, and they're all training to be in ministry. And it's also, there's something with the minister type where a lot of us are fairly competitive. I'm not sure exactly why that is. And so you just find things to compete over. And so one of the things that consciously or subconsciously we would compete over is to see, like, okay, who's the most spiritual? Who really is doing these things the most? And so I remember we had a prayer group that would meet at 6 in the morning because, again, that for some reason people would always meet to pray like these crazy times in the morning. So it was college kids were waking up at 6 a.m. and we were praying in this area. We had this big building on campus, chapel, and that's where a lot of our professors worked. And so we were in a lobby there praying. And I remember a couple different times while we were there praying, and one of my thoughts was, I hope some of our professors come in and see me praying, because when they do, they're going to think, wow, that John Hentrick guy, I mean, he's waking up. What an amazing guy. And it didn't have as much to do with what was happening to me inside while I was praying. It was more about what maybe other people might think of me. And maybe you've had something similar. Maybe it hasn't. Maybe it wasn't with prayer. Maybe it was you're just going to church or being a part of a program or having some sort of a leadership position in church or giving money away or doing something where you were serving. You posted the Facebook picture after. Here's what I did. And if you're honest, there was something about it that wasn't as much about like you doing it because you just wanted to do it or because it was like changing you on the inside, but you were hoping that other people would see you doing it and it would impress them, that it would give you some sort of credit. And so we're going to talk about that today. To get a little bit deeper on what this text is talking about, I actually want to show you a clip from a sermon. This is one of my favorite preachers. His name is Marty Solomon, and he does a great job of explaining what is going on in this text and what some of the context is. So check out this clip.
Before we jump into this passage, let's deal with a couple things of context that always seem to get in the way, and we focus on what Jesus isn't saying rather than focusing on what Jesus might be trying to give us in this teaching. We want to get rid of some of that contextual stuff. Okay, so let's talk context for a little bit. First of all, there's this thing about secrecy. We get into this passage and everybody gets really wound up about secrecy all of a sudden, right? Like, nobody's supposed to see your walk with Jesus. Giving, nobody's allowed to see that. In fact, it's supposed to even confuse yourself because you can't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. So even your own self is like, wait, I'm what? Huh? Anyway, and then when you pray, and the NIV translation tried to get rid of what it used to say, and this is one case where it didn't do a very good job. The new NIV says, go into your room and shut the door. The old NIV used to say, go into your closet, which is more appropriate translation, but was even more confusing, because you and I think, the place where I keep the brooms and the vacuum cleaner? No. This is referring to their prayer closet. Let me show you your prayer closet. This is what's called a talit. Say talit. You guys gonna remember all these Hebrew words? Okay, good. This is your talit, okay? This is, by the way, what I wear all the time. You've been afraid to ask me this whole time. These are not connected to my belt. I'm wearing one of these with a hole cut in the middle of it like a sandwich board, and I put my clothes on around it, so that's what these hang out of this hanging over the top of me. This is what they would wear on the outside. So you wear these all the time, but if you're an Orthodox Jew, even today, and you go to, if you're in Jerusalem and you want to go to Kotel, which is the Western Wall, or if you want to go to synagogue in your town and go to worship, they would wear these to worship. This is called your prayer shawl, okay? So you wear these to, what's it called in Hebrew? Talit. See, you're going to remember something, okay? You got your talit, and you wear that, it's your prayer shawl, to synagogue. And then if you want to pray, you go into what's called your prayer closet. I'll show you your prayer closet. By the way, if you're standing next to me, is it obvious what I'm doing? It's not an invisibility cloak, okay? So this whole secrecy thing, go into your closet, shut the door. Jesus' point is it's not about what people can see, it's about what's going on inside. Okay, my closet, I am either going into my Jewish superhero changing room, or I'm going into my prayer closet. And it's obvious to you when I'm standing next to Emmy, it's obvious to Emmy what I'm doing. I'm praying. Now, if I'm doing it just to be seen, if I look at the person next to me and I'm like, and there's nothing going on in the prayer closet, Jesus says that's all the reward you're going to get. Is the people that see you and they're like, good job. That's all the reward you're going to get. But your prayer isn't changing you on your insides. Deep in your spiritual bones, you're not being changed. There's no reward beyond what people see. Does that make sense? Okay? This isn't about don't let anybody see you, because Jesus started his sermon with what commandment or teaching? Let your good deeds shine before men so that when they see them, they would what? Glorify your Father in heaven. Jesus is quite clear. Your walk is to be seen by others. Like you can't say Jesus says let your good deeds shine and don't let anybody, you can't put those two together. So whatever Jesus is saying about secrecy has to work in tandem with people need to see your walk. Okay? So let your good deeds shine, but if you're doing it just to be seen, well, all it is surface.
All right, hope you enjoyed that, and Marty's just a really cool guy. So here's what I want you to do in your groups. Take some time and discuss. And so first, have somebody read Matthew 6, 5 through 8, and then have someone else in the group try to paraphrase it, put it in their own words, and then discuss these questions. What stood out to you about the text? What does this text tell us about what God is like? What does God value? What does God think is important? And then what does this tell us about people? What does this tell us about us? What is it that we value? What is it that is often our motivation? And then answer these questions. What would it look like if this next day, this next 24 hours, this next week, if you really took this scripture seriously? What would that change in your life? And then maybe write an I will statement. Say, based off of what we just heard, I will do this over the next couple days, next week, and discuss that with your group. So we're going to do today. Enjoy, and we will see you soon.